All right, moving on to our next Patreon request, and this one comes from my good friend, I almost said Jason, Mount Vernon Kid, and he asked me to do a crossover between Kamandi the Last Boy from DC Comics and Planet of the Apes. So, as always, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, hit the 3rd tier. That'll allow you access to all the other tiers on YouTube, on Patreon, as well as allow you to send me requests for videos to do here on YouTube as well. But other than that, hope you all enjoy this, and let's get started. So, I know Kamandi's probably not going to get... this is not going to be a very popular video, because Kamandi is not a very popular character in DC Comics, so I'm well aware of how this will turn out. Anyway, so, let's get started with the video. So the story begins with... Kamandi running from the animal soldiers. It's another typical day in the last days of Earth, and he's basically just trying to find somewhere where he can be, safe. He's just trying to find a place where he can be, he wants to be somewhere where he can be safe. And he's also like feeling kind of like, I know I'm the last man on Earth, but and usually that doesn't bother me, but today it's one of those days where I just feel like I don't want to be, I don't want to be alone anymore. Eventually, him running away leads to him catching like a weak floorboard, or rather a weak support system, and just breaking through and falling into a old military facility. Basically, this military facility was like during the last days of the war that wiped out everyone. Essentially what happened was that they revealed that, hey, this war is going horribly and mankind is just kind of fucked. So what we're going to do is find a new place to go to, what's left of us, and we're going to take this... we found access to the multiverse, so we're just going to kind of, take this and go somewhere else. Like, we're going to find somewhere else in the multiverse and flee there. And that's the message. Now, Kamandi doesn't know if those humans, managed to escape or not, but he's just, curious. But at the same time, he's like, well, I don't know if I want to, fuck around with this thing, because there's a good chance it didn't work, and, these people got torn to shreds, so I'm not going to mess with it. However, he does act as he's trying to activate, because he's like, okay, I'm not gonna fuck with it, but at least this will be a place where I can, at the very least, have shelter from the ape men. I can have shelter from them and be able to, be safe. So, however, that doesn't go well, because as he's trying to activate the base's power. To try to, get life support going and shit. What happens is that he accidentally turns the machine on, and he put it on full. He put the thing on full power, and it sucks him in, and he gets spat out in 5 minutes later. But at first he's like, I feel like I just ended up at the same base. I feel like I ended up in the same. Did it even work? Was it a failure? Was it just a little time machine? I don't know. So, Kamandi is looking over the base, and he does see that things are just slightly different. And basically discover, as he's flipping stuff on, he discovers that this was the machine did work, but it scattered the humans that built the multiversal traversing device across the multiverse, and only the guy recording the message and 10 other people managed to end up in this place, while the other 60 or so people were flung through the multiverse, and they don't know if they lived or died. So they basically say hey, if you're listening to this message, we're gonna hide out here, at least we're not being nuked to death. If you find this message, Godspeed, we're gonna go recon the planet and see what else is out there. And that's where the message ends. So Kamandi, he's like, well, maybe I should go back to my universe. This isn't my world, but at the same time, who knows what's out there? Kamandi's always been an adventurous character. So Kamandi goes out into the world And he's like, at first he's like, this is like a lot of wreckage and stuff. Did I even leave my world? Did I even leave my Earth? And he proceeds to go out into the world and do some exploring. Well, for days he's just kind of seeing like, he has seen wreckages of cities, but the difference is that it's not like the irradiated wastelands like he's from. It's actually like, this has been like, what happened here did similarly, like something similar did happen on his Earth, that happened here, but that must have been thousands of years later. So now he's just kind of wandering the wreckage of what's left of this Earth. Anyway, I digress. So as the story continues, he does eventually stumble upon like a crop field, and as he's like collecting food, he's like, well, there are people here, so I don't know what they are, but I hope they don't mind me taking food. And that's when he sees them. Humans. He actually Kamandi actually discovers humans, but he's like, oh my god, they're like me, or like that Batman guy I've met a few times, referencing Brave and the Bold. But like he's totally psyched. Ignore the I don't know if the phone, if that's picking up, that's someone's phone going off. So he's freaked out because he's like, oh my god, I'm actually meeting other humans. This is amazing. But as he's like approaching them and they're like all freaked out, that's when they hear like a war cry. And in comes charging the gorillas. And he's like, so nothing's changed really. So Kamandi flees with the other humans, and he has to avoid he has to avoid the apes. But as he sees some of the humans getting shot down and killed, he's just like, no, and battles them. And the gorillas are like freaked out, like, because they just heard an ape speak. This is obvious. This is, if you haven't guessed yet, this is before the events with Taylor and the other Planet of the Apes. This is the first time they're encountering a ape that a human that could speak. So they report back to Ursus, and Ursus is like, no, you're all crazy. Like, that's, what you're saying is pure heresy. Like, there's no way a human could speak. There's simply no way. You're bullshitting me. And then the other ape and the other gorillas are like, no, General, we heard this human speak. And he's like, well, bring this human to me. Like, we'll see if your stories are true. So back with Kamandi, he managed to save the other humans, but they're obviously scared and can't speak. And he's like trying to communicate. I am Kamandi. I don't come from this place. He doesn't say like I'm from another Earth, because he kind of gets the idea. I don't think they get it. So he's just kind of like, trying to explain, like, if you come with me, I can take you somewhere safe. I can give you guys peace. I can, save you all from the dangers of these creatures. I come from somewhere, it's not as great as this, but like, you'll be safer from them. And then he thinks to himself, are they going to be safe? The apes here are smart, but like, they don't hold a candle to the gorilla men I fight. Maybe it's better I leave them here. And of course, the humans don't understand what he's saying, and they're even like trying to stop him from talking, because that's only going to make him madder. The apes matter. Eventually, the ape party that did hear Kamandi speak fall upon him, and fearing that the humans would get caught in the crossfire, Kamandi like, come on, fight, follow me, fight me, hunt me down. And he also has that moment of, if I let these apes get away, I have to get back to the machine, but I have to take out these apes, or they're going to take it out on all these humans. So Kamandi proceeds to just go full Rambo on all of these apes, until finally he manages to kill them all, and the apes are like freaked out because they've never battled a human this smart and athletic, let alone one that could speak. So Kamandi manages to dispatch the remainder of the gorillas, and he shoos the humans away before Ursus's forces arrive. And Kamandi then returns back to the machine, and he's like, I have to, like, I hope this works. Like, hopefully it remembers the last place it went to, back to my Earth. And he punches in the codes. It yanks him back to his Earth, and he's like, now to keep this from falling into anyone's hands, just destroys the machine and proceeds to just stay in the base for a little bit, enjoying the rations that are left over. But now knowing that, like, he may be the last man on this Earth, but he's not the last man in the multiverse. So there you go, guys. That is Kamandi, Planet of the Apes. A little short, but I worked with the best I could because I don't read a lot. There's not a lot of Kamandi comics for me to follow, so I did with the best I could. So hopefully, Chris, you like it. And once again, I'd like to thank, speaking of Mount Vernon Kid, Chris, thank you once again for this Patreon request and continued patronage. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.